Yeah, I'd also record it just for posterity's sake. Yep. All right. So welcome to the, I guess this is the second meeting of the semester. Sorry for, the whole last week situation, but it is all my fault that we got so much snow.
Oh my God, that was mine.
Can you stop snowing?
No,
Jesus.
Yeah. It was a snow day, the university was closed, and so technically no organized events are supposed to happen. We could have gotten away with it, but I didn't want to disrupt the sanctimony of a snow day anyway. Since we have a few things that we need to go over, I'm not gonna ramble on for too much. One little thing though, I put in the thing in Discord about the Boy Scouts outreach opportunity, which is at the start of spring break. I know most of you probably couldn't go because the dorms are closed and so you don't have a place to be at that time. Anthony, you said you would go?
Why not?
But that didn't sound very convincing. I haven't told her we're going yet, so if you don't want to.
I'd love to if I could.
Would anyone else want to go? I'm trying to get.
Does it have any other dates?
Huh?
Do you have any other dates?
No, it's an event that they do, and
It's always the first Saturday of spring break.
that's always what it's been.
Just despite us.
And so, like, if I get like one more person to agree to go, even if it is Dr. Finch, then I would say I'll tell her that
You
we'll
get
go.
3 total, including Dr. Finch.
All right, I would go too. So I guess.
Last time we had 3 total, including Dr. Finch.
Gotcha.
Time for 20 to go.
All right, well,
Girl Scouts, are they doing anything?
huh?
Are the Girl Scouts doing anything?
I don't know the Girl Scout chapter around here.
Do they need? I guess I don't know much about the Girl Scouts. Do they actually? Are the badges like the Boy Scouts?
What do you mean? Yeah, I mean, Dr. Finch is telling me in what their instruments are, they were to make little anemometers or something.
Yeah, that's what we do for the Boy Scouts.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I mean, I guess if they had a weather badge, they needed to take contact with them and see, but I don't know anything about the badges.
Yeah, maybe if you could find out what the local Girl Scout chapter is, because I actually don't know it at all.
Dr. Finch will know,
Okay.
she's done things with them, she's telling us all about it.
Yeah, you could reach out and be like, do something. Maybe we could do something like that. That'd be cool.
Yes.
But yeah, I guess the first order of business is from last week. Andy is going to present to us a T-shirt design that we
Oh yes, I am.
for this year. So yeah, go ahead and
Yeah,
take the
but
floor.
it's to release my wife to see her because you're holding her hostage.
Yeah, we'll see.
So so don't open it yet, but this is that
Top.
magic email right there. I just want to do a little preamble before I show it, so you don't shoot me. This is a draft, okay? So this is not the full product, whatever. So I'm going to show you something. It is going to be indicative of the main design. It's like 90% there, but this is also what we artists call the poopy phase, which means that there are some things that are going to look out of place, but it's a draft just to like get the feel of what everyone thinks about it, if they want it, if they hate it, if they want me dead for it, that kind of thing. There we go. So this is the design. I figured it could go on a black t-shirt and just, wow, I've ruined it. My life is pain.
Yeah.
There you go. So I don't think I need to tell you what that is. We're all adults here.
What is it? I don't know.
It's just a classic hook echo, as if the radar was centered in good old Minaj. This is my main design, right? So I figured out the colors. With your approval, if you're all okay with this design, what I'm going to do is I'm going to apply some soft gradients around the edges just to make it look more pretty and not so like hard on the eyes, because right now the contrast of color is pretty great. Well, that looks like that on a radar, it's not going to look good on a shirt. I hate it, I hate it, I hate it. So I'm going to change that. The main thing I wanted to ask everybody is, obviously I'm going to put text on here, just like WIU, SWC, Severe Weather Club, or Cool Kids Club, that kind of thing. I don't know exactly where to put it, and so I want everyone's input. We like do it like a U.S. Army badge style, just put it around the circle lazily. I also had an idea of putting it on these 2 radar rings right here, that kind of thing.
Did they teach to put like the WIU?
Right there.
No. Like WIU.
No touch.
I'm not gonna touch WIU here.
All right.
This one has something to say.
Can we have Ian come up to the board and show us the back picture?
So this is very similar to a shirt design that we have done in the past, and I do like this shirt design a lot. You can see this is the foam dome. Here is Dr. Baker's lovely head and you can see the radar signatures that we have here.
You showed it here.
A couple questions that I have. First of all, how big is this design? Is this gonna be like a big old graphic, like in the center in front of the shirt, or is this gonna be like a smaller little thing?
So I have this, the background, like the base plate that it's on is black. The final thing, the final render, I'll give it a transparent layer so that it just prints right on. But like, you know, if you like take this whole entire square and just kind of like that, sort of. I know where you're going with this. Yes, I would love to have the actual radar signature be larger. But the thing is that then that would go out and then I could like print some of it and it right there, and then the text wouldn't have anywhere to go, so I made a compromise.
That's totally fine. The other thing to consider, and I don't know exactly the details of this, but what I will say is we traditionally get shirts from Custom Ink because it's a GP's website. And I will say that the price of these shirts scale directly with how many colors are used. And so that is something to consider.
I can definitely do like a singular color, like a cyan or a magenta or whatever. I did this in a CMYK, which is the kind of color profile they use for printing. So it will come out exactly looking like this.
So like the strategy for this shirt was, how actually is there yellow on this shirt?
There is.
So like, yeah, the strategy for this shirt was, I think we wanted 4 colors and then we used black t-shirt as the de facto 5th color.
Okay.
And so, again, I'm not exactly, like, I don't know how this works exactly. I don't know how much the price goes up with more colors, but it is actually.
There was actually. Wasn't it? Was it?
I
Was it 18?
Also, did we get this one from Taylor's? Or did we get that one?
No,
from-
it was Custom Ink.
Really? Because I went on Custom Ink's website and I didn't
There
see
were a whole
this.
bunch of those.
I can totally, here's what I can do to knock the cost down. I can definitely change the color of the rings and the gradient on the rings to something that's already being used within here, so that we use like the same kind of ink.
And the other thing.
It was originally green, I'm sorry.
There you go.
It was originally green, but I had a problem with that where it was getting lost like around here or there, whatever, so.
The other thing to consider is I do not know how Custom Ink handles gradients at all. I genuinely, that's something I don't know. If you, maybe I could probably just like make a sample of
Yes.
just putting that in the Custom Ink software and seeing how it handles it. If it handles it fine, it should be fine, but I'm just, thinking through things that might happen.
So the way that gradients work is like, I mean, obviously, depending on how Custom Ink does it and the way that they use their colors, they could have like the full range of 255, which is what I work with in Illustrator, or they can have a range of like 150, like maybe even 10, And so my biggest worry is if I use a gradient, it will be less smooth like that and more like blocks and edges, which honestly, like, kind of looks cool, but I hate it when it ends up being something that I don't intend it to be. So yeah, I mean, that's pretty much my idea. So if everyone signs off on this,
So what's the wording you're gonna put on this thing?
So that's why I want to workshop with all you guys. So, we had an idea to put something up here, WIU, whichever one of you are.
How could you put WIU above the radar?
Huh?
How could you put WIU?
I can. I never said I couldn't. I can definitely, I mean, this is,
Basically saying that's our radar. We have radar.
yeah, pretty much. I was definitely going to add like some wraparound text and all that because
We have an equation,
ooh, yeah. So I'm definitely like,
equation for Kate, which is out there on one of those shirts or.
ooh, yeah, because here's my general idea. If none of your input, where I was going to go was that I was going to have like maybe like severe weather club, like I don't know, going over an arc right here, and then I'll fill in all the rings with like very faint equations so that it doesn't have like that empty feeling, sort of. Actually, no, I didn't. Because right now, like this is a whole lot of negative space that I don't like, but it won't be that in the front of the products.
So what are you gonna do on the front?
Oh, this is the front of the shirt.
Oh, it's not the back.
No, the back, I could definitely do like something basic if you want. Like I was thinking of just having a
Make it a little better on the back.
Yeah, I was gonna
Yeah.
say that probably would, and then the front,
On the front, you do something like what Ian has on his shirt.
or you could take it your.
And part of the shirt is very basic,
No,
so
it's-
the The other primary purpose of the shirt was to wear to Dr. Baker's hearing, and so we put "Safe Use on it" as the slogan. But we could just put like Spear Weather Club's name. We can put Spear Weather Club's logo here too. We do have a logo.
So what I was thinking is, can you turn around?
I'm so sorry.
I was thinking like I wanted to keep like a circle motive if we wanted a two-sided shirt, so we can like keep this kind of thing, you know, but I was thinking, I'm sorry, but whoever designed this is a little noisy right here. I was thinking of having like an isobar design, like a bunch of isobar waves, lines, whatever you call it, and then, you know, club acronym logo, whatever you want, like stamped on it.
On the front, why couldn't you have, I've seen all these shirts, we don't have one, we made one last year, or last 2 years, whatever it was. But I still kind of was on that design. You could also do like instead of Western logo, you could do like WA
Yeah, that too.
on the front of it, to where it looks modern, it's the ones we did a few years ago. I like them, but I still feel like it's kind of outdated a bit.
I can definitely like, hell, even tonight, like I can hack together like another design for the other.
Yeah, because then you can WA meteorology on the front, you see what it looks like in the back.
So like, yeah, because I did put out a poll, I don't know how many of you saw it, like, do you want something that's readable, or do you want something that's
Oh,
artsy
yes,
fartsy?
yes.
And every single person said artsy fartsy, and now someone's asking for something readable, so make up your damn mind.
Well,
Besides that.
To be honest, I didn't vote, so.
Arts.
Oh!
Yeah, and
Yeah,
also we could just do readable on the front and artsy on the back.
yeah, that is what I'm trying to go for here, essentially.
Well,
I think I'll do it.
I did not vote.
Okay, so here's what we're gonna do. This artsy ass design is gonna be on the back, so you know, when you ethically turn your back away from someone because you're cooler than them, they get to look at your slick ass art that was made by the world's greatest artists ever. And then on the front, we'll have like a more basic, like readable logo, so that when you're yelling at someone, they know you're better than them.
You know what, though? Never mind.
No,
I was gonna say, I mean, I know you're going for, like, you were saying artsy fartsy abstract kind of, but people should know that's radar. Then I thought about it, and I thought about stripes and velocities, and thought, never mind.
yeah, you see that, I had that same argument with myself. Because I realized like, there are different radar colors that we use, like, velocity looks different.
I would say that's the most iconic one, but
Yes,
it's really.
Everyone has a radar on their phone and it all uses the same color scheme, right?
I can change the colors.
Oh,
Wow.
shut up.
Alright, I have that radar one.
Yeah, we told you.
Oh, you can't do it. Well, sure.
That was a problem that I had, is that usually I work in like bicolor or tricolor, like that's how most of my art code goes. And that is a problem with this, where I don't want to lose the color profile so much, because we have at least 4, maybe 5 colors working on here. But like, if I reduce it down to anything less, then the peasants won't understand that it's a radar.
Do you have to keep the pink? Because I can barely even see it. And it's-
Yeah, that is, I can definitely change that.
Yeah.
The way that
If
goes.
you need to like put them on colors, like I can barely even see pink right now.
Yeah, see, I wanted to do the pink, it's in there originally because this is like, you know, classic Hook Echo. So that's where all the fun's going down, that's where all the hail is, that kind
I'm sorry, I didn't even know there was pink in there, I just.
of thing. Yeah, so I can definitely like change it to a darker purple or something like that. Alrighty.
That I would maybe make the rings more transparent,
The what?
the rings.
Yeah, because they are a layer on top, so that's perfect. You do not know how much of the paint was the layer. It took me 30 whole minutes to figure out the layers of this thing, so I just want you to know that. But yeah, okay, so just final poll, where do we want the text? Just like kind of,
You just put it on there and we'll tell you if it looks good.
Yeah,
Very good.
just put it like kind of what you're thinking about it, and yeah, but yeah, good job, it looks really nice.
I know.
Very good.
Perfect, yeah, so that's it. I'll mock up like a basic design tonight for the front.
That's good. Do you think you'll have that ready by next week?
Oh, totally.
No rush, of course, but.
Well, most likely, yes. I did just pick up a commission recently, but that's not so urgent, so I can definitely work on that. It's, this took like 2 or 3 like good nights to put together, but the simpler one is gonna be super easy. I already know how to do it. I learned a lot about layers.
But if you absolutely feel like, you don't have an idea what you could do, it's, obviously.
Oh,
You have an idea.
I have an idea.
And if you absolutely feel like, you need inspiration, Chuck, you probably won't have it, knowing you don't need inspiration, you're kind of, the way your head works is interesting, but.
I'm sorry.
We do have a graphic designer on campus, you can actually email them and say, hey, we need a shirt design for our club, what do you have in mind?
And compare notes.
And then basically see what they say.
I am the graphic designer.
This is what I said,
And you know, we'll not
last year.
remember it's
That's
never
what we
around.
did. Yeah, that's what we did with the last year, we actually had a graphic design team.
But that's because we didn't have a graphic designer in the club.
Yeah. See, now I'm your in-house and I'm doing it for free.
They did.
They also do.
I'm doing it for her.
You're appreciating those. You
Wait, does that mean if you're doing it for free, does that mean also purchasing the shirts?
Shut up, no.
Free shirts, let's go.
I'm generous, not stupid. Okay, yeah, that's it.
Well, we also need to actually look and see if there's increased prices.
Yeah, I'll look, I don't
Yeah,
know.
so,
That, I wasn't, we need to actually see how long the shipping time is now.
like a whole eon probably.
It's like regarding COVID.
Yeah, with all.
Yes, no, regarding the.
Wait, so the last, this year, though, not last, this year's spring for those shirts.
Those were from Taylor's in town.
No, they
Which one is cheaper?
We got it last year.
But they're from Taylor's.
Taylor's closed.
Oh.
They're
yeah,
dead.
last year, the year before.
Yeah, the shipping time for terrible is a few weeks.
Okay, well, alrighty, so I'm gonna take this image and I'm going to put it on our Discord. So if you guys wanna critique it, look at it, dream of it at night,
Wait,
draw
wait,
pieces
wait,
on it, whatever.
The graphic designer that you mentioned, were they the one that came up with that neon yellow shirt?
Well, we just moved it around to a lot here.
The color, oh, that was not black.
That was not-
We're not doing neon.
That was not the designer's fault, that was custom piece's fault. I
Okay.
apologize for that.
They really just messed up.
Do any of you have a key to that cabinet right there?
Dr. Thompson does.
Okay, well,
You know, I talked to Debbie.
I'm seeing a shade of purple right here that I think was like. that's what-
Yay, purple! We can all just get up and go look at it.
Debbie,
You don't
Debbie
have
has
to
to
bring
be
it
a
to
team.
I'm not doing that.
But that's it. All right, so I'll put that in Discord now. So now that the grand reveal is over, everybody knows.
Cool, and we can, and then if you think you're ready, maybe talk about the front of the shirt next week. Alright,
Thank you for actually giving me an audience my art because I put something in for the digital rec competition, and then I realized I never had it because I'm the only one who put anything in it.
oh, well, that should be even automatically, but. Alright, so thank you for that, Andy, very good, we'll talk about it more probably next week and in the Discord. The other thing. So the other thing we had on the docket was Brandon. He has been working very much so with Dr. Finch and Anthony upstairs.
Not really, that's all.
Getting the computers ready up there. And so he's going to present about a model that we recently gained access to upstairs.
And I believe she also put something 411 too.
Awesome.
Those computers can't handle it. We can do that.
It'll work. We'll make it work.
I'm gonna use that guy.
I know,
When you're in the movie theater and you're like.
I know that area, but I hate that.
Oh my God, I don't know.
Where are you, bro? Guys, that's not like 14 people driving.
All right. So as Ian said, I've been working on the weather and research forecasting advanced model, or the WAR for short. The ARW stands for advanced. And I just want to go through a little bit of the basics. So first of all, what is WAR and why should you use it? It was created by UCAR, and their definition of it is a mesoscale numerical weather prediction system designed for atmospheric research. Now, it's interesting because it says mesoscale, but as you'll find out, it's so powerful and so flexible that there's hundreds of options. So you can go down to the micro scale, or you can go up to the macro scale. There's 3 phases. There's pre-processing, which is also known as WPS. There's the warp itself, and then there's post-processing. And because of how flexible this model is, you can either have real cases or purely hypothetical ones. And this is a little flow chart of the whole process. It looks like a lot, but
It is a lot.
but actually it's not. I trust me.
So exceptional question.
Most of these are just like different inputs, different outputs, but you follow one line and you get like 20 minutes.
Sorry, this may just be me being freshman,
Uh,
but what is this software generating exactly?
It's a model,
A mod, like,
so it's generating model runs.
like the stuff that we use for forecast?
Yeah.
Okay.
And Pivotal Weather has Warp on it too, as an option. The pre-processing, so this is the first phase, and there are 2 ways. There's the WPS, which is the weather pre-processing system, or Warp pre-processing system, and then there's ObsGrid, which is, I haven't played around with, but that's the one where you can come up with any scenario you want. And the WPS follows this process down here. So there's 3 things. There's geogrid.exe, that's for geographical data. There's ungrid, which is the meteorological data. And then you combine it into metgrid, and it puts out a thing for WARF. And we'll go through all 3 of those. But firstly, the first thing to do is you want to change the nameless.wps. This is where everything you put in, it's going to tell you where you're looking at, what times you're looking at, how far in time you want to go, and how far in time the files you put in are going to go. And just for the simple command, you use Emacs to edit that. There's an example of it right there. That is the full entire file. So you have start date, you have end date, it has to match. So in order to begin with the real case, which is what this path is, you need to download like GFS files. So you need to have some previous data to work from before you can create the model run. And the start and end date must match the input, those files you download. The interval seconds, that's your time step. So you know, like if it's GFS, NAM, 3-hour output, you have your resolution for your geography, latitude, longitude, and all that. So the first part is geogrid.exe. This is tells where you want to look at, and it comes out with a netcdf file, which is that .mc file there. Now, this is a little bit complicated. I still haven't looked at this yet, but you can have nested domains. So you can see here, domain 1 is all of the United States, and 2 and 3 zoom in more. So you can have the jet stream for all of CONUS, and then you can zoom in and look at like the cold fronts, all of that separately, but in the same file. Or when you actually visualize it.
So is that, if you created your own area, or you wanted to look at your own area, it's like if we wanted to have a floater over Macomb or Weathertown City, is that how you would do it, that whole process?
Yeah. I mean, you could do that as a smaller domain, and then you could have like zoomed out too. for other things. The second part is ungrid. This is where your input for your meteorological data comes from. One of the most important things here is linking those files. Symbolically linking, I'm not gonna explain that because that's more of a Linux thing, but it saves space and allows files to be put in different directories but still interact with each other. And then you also need this vtable file, which has to match your input. So GFS, NAM, Euro, and then it'll output a file. XXX, which is one for each script file. Wharf needs at least 3 of these because one of the visualization things is IDV. And when I've looked at it, IDV needs at least 3 of them to calculate some of the fields. So you need at least 3 of them, but I would at least suggest 5 so that you have a balance of the space that's in your computer and everything that can be calculated. Then there's MetGrid. This combines the previous 2 and produces a netcdf format file that can go into a Wharf. And this usually takes about 10 to 30 minutes because it's a lot of math. But you can speed it up with this command where you basically tell the computer how many cores to process it with.
Is there a limit to how many cores it can use?
Well, it's going to be limited by how many cores the computer has, but I would suggest not using all of them. But if you can just use like -1.
Because I've had to use software or stuff before that couldn't handle more than 2 cores.
Yeah, I mean, in that case, you're going to have to wait for the 10 to 30 minutes. And after that, that was the pre-processing, but it's still not time to run the Wharf. There's one last step. You have to get out the WPS directory and go to the Wharf one, and you have to edit this nameless.input. Now, this is just a little part of the file, but it contains several options for time control, domain, physics, dynamics, and there are tons of options. This is what makes it so flexible. You can have windmill farms that it affects up to like your most basic. I don't even know what some of them do, to be honest. There's too many. And the contents of this file must match the ones on the nameless.wps. If it doesn't, Wharf is going to tell you, nope, you aren't going to do it. Oh yeah, one other thing. You see those commas there and they're separated and they got 3 columns. That's for each domain. So if you only have one domain, you wouldn't have 3 2000s on there. Actually, this one wouldn't run because they've got the wrong date. So now running Wharf, there's 2 options. There's the real.exe and ideal. Ideal is for hypothetical, real is for real input. And you run the Wharf with that command, and it outputs another netcdf file, which can then go into IDV, NCL, ARW post, or WPP for GenPack. IDV will ask for what is being imported, and you will choose aggregate Wharf. This is what I've tested so far. And you visualize what you want. And then, I know that sounds like a lot, but actually doing the entire process takes like 20 minutes. If you have a lot of power, it might take longer if you don't have as many cores, but that's just the basics of what it can do. But,
I have a question.
yeah.
If you go back to the previous slide,
Uh-huh.
what is the difference between running real simulation versus an
Ideal, I have played a lot with it, but you don't have to download any files for that. There's a sounding input and there's a, what is it? Like station input, and you can change those by yourself. And you can come up with whatever scenario you want.
To be clear, what this does is this program outputs a file that and then import it to IDE or something.
Yeah.
Okay, that's really cool.
So it's just the model part. It's not visualizing it.
Gotcha, gotcha. For those of you who haven't taken Synoptic yet, you'll learn IDE and Synoptic. It's basically a model visualization software package for Linux. Not Linux, you can run it with this too. It's very useful.
Yep. I think
So
that's,
synoptic one or two or both?
You use it both, especially for your case studies, when you do that Synoptic,
Yeah.
you use that a lot. Yes.
yeah, I don't think I want to go any further than that because that's a lot.
You told me you want to teach us all of Linux and how it operates.
I wanna see some of the equations.
You want to see some of the equations?
No, I don't.
No, you don't.
When you say run using that command, is that a window that the software makes, or is that just CN?
The command
Yeah,
that is run in a terminal on Linux systems.
on Linux? Oh
Mhm.
my god.
This is all Linux.
Yeah, that's not even, look at two bucks, dude.
Jesus.
Yeah,
Linux.
so that's the other thing is that you can't run this in Windows. It has to be Linux.
Yeah, sure, we go install with Linux.
There's many different types of Linux. There's Ubuntu, which is the one I tested this on. There's the one up there, which is CentOS. But Windows, man, it doesn't
We're
work.
gonna use it exclusively in all the classes.
All the computers you throw up are all mixed.
All the ones in the lab or the research room are too.
That just teaches you how to use Linux, so it's the bare bones basics. So you don't have to worry about that.
No need to use Google Chrome though. It's not-
Oh, no.
Very important, it's Firefox.
I installed
All those?
Oh.
not all of them, but I installed on the one up. in
Oh,
Forte.
yeah, I did it on mine too, but I was only, you're
Yes,
giving yours.
right.
So you'll just do.
Oh, Lord, honestly,
Yeah.
what do you use the gold 12?
One,
All right, good job.
Yeah, work is definitely going to be useful for any projects that you want to do, where you want to look at. either-
Case study.
Yeah, case study, any hypothetical or historical weather situation that you'd like to look at. This is capable of being used for. Very cool that we have this. Not all universities have it. But yeah, thank you for that presentation. I don't think there's anything else I wanted to cover tonight. So if you guys have any other questions or concerns, feel free to holler at me. But otherwise, I'll let you go. Thanks for coming. And what? Oh, there you go. All right. Well, see you guys all next week then. Thanks for coming, guys.
Great, I'll come next meeting with the full plans.
Awesome. We'll love to hear 'em.
I expect your first.